So all your politics then we nya botre and your politics are ubesa ya ade. All your politics then we nya botre a udi wakometire a ubegu party. All your politics then we nya botre a wankasa weni onyam kra na onyankopon di ama wo udi ebufuo bese. And the story did not only end there. When we came into power in 2017 and President Akufo-Addo shared all the posts, I didn't even get a deputy minister. Selection will be uncoming. Even in parliament, my juniors were seniors. In parliament, there are positions apart from leadership. Every committee has its leadership. So you are either made a chairman or vice chair. So can you imagine that I was a senior and then first timers were serving in the committee with me and they were given the position chairman, vice chairman. I was Bob no rank. How would you feel? Ubejai party na upe leadership wenya committee nsusu obi a oba ye na yamanu post wo de wo ye Bob no rank. Ye de me ko ECOWAS parliament e won so yekodu ye na ntokwa ye say me resign na me resign be fi. Won say they are reality. But today this is me. So it can be you. Henry got to the podium and spoke like a prophet. He said he can see MPs here. He can see future executives of the party. He can see great men and women rising out of this forum. Believe in yourself. Have patience for destiny. Give time some time. And in the fullness of time, all things shall align. As students who have joined this great tradition, there's one thing I want you to do. Build relationship. The world has changed. It is not how smart you are. It's not how intelligent you are. It is the relationship you will build that will define how successful you become tomorrow. Take relationship as your infrastructure. Give it a solid foundation and let it stand. Don't look down on somebody because of his current circumstance. Accommodate the person. Tolerate. Manage relationship. I was able to go to secondary school because of relationship. And I'll tell you why. I come from a very poor home. My friends had rich parents. And when we passed our BEC, and my parents could not afford the admission fee to St. Augustine's, it's my friends who told their parents and convinced their parents to contribute to help me. And that is how come I went to St. Augustine's. In this life, it is a friend who will speak for you, who would render a tongue of good report in your favor. When your adversaries gather, it is a friend who will speak for you. You may not be there. In fact, a lot of the negative things that are said about you, you will not even get the opportunity of hearing. You need that good friend who will stand for you and make your destiny happen. So if you are here, build relationship, network, that will save you someday. And to the young ladies, those young poor men, those small boys, don't look down upon them. You never can tell tomorrow. Go, Bruno! Should I repeat it? You are beginners. I am 48. Henry is 45. There are others who are in their 50s, 60s. Life is complicated. Don't expect any easy life ahead of you. Life will test you. The society you join, you belong to, this fraternity, NPP will test you. Don't think everything will be easy. You go through trials. It is your God, your relationship that will carry you through. So take it as your watchword. It's only through this that you can survive. And that day, when it comes, and you start enjoying, remember that it was this afternoon, this day, that I shared that life experience with you. My dear student, let me take you to the next pillar of leadership, employment. Leadership empowers to create employment. When leadership is unable to empower, then leadership has failed. So leadership without empowerment is not a legacy, which is because a generation of leaders who cannot produce the next generation of leaders has led. We cannot talk about any legacy. And a party that does not actively empower its young people is not a party building for the future. Because the leaders and the seniors who came before us prepared us. We are here and in charge, and we are preparing you. So when some 20 years and more, I was at UCC, and that old politician, J.H. Mensah, came to Casford and addressed us. And I was listening to him the way you are listening to me. Little did I know, that was 1999. He was coming to talk to us. He was also leading a mighty minority in parliament. At the time, the seats in parliament were 200 and NPP had only 61. So J.H. Mensah and other MPs were touring campuses, talking to us. When I was seated among the students, I was not there as a TESCON president. Neither was I there as a member of the executive of TESCON. I sat as a young student among the few who were there to listen. The room was not full like this. You would even be afraid to associate yourself in politics because you fear being victimized. But here, you can also lead this party someday in parliament. Your time will come. So to empower a young person is to give them more than a seat on the table. It is to give them the tools, the training, the exposure, and the trust they need to build tables of their own. Empowerment is a transfer of confidence backed by capability. It is what happens when a leader looks at a young person and says not, quote, "You are too young," end quote, but says to that young person, "I believe," quote, "you are ready," end quote. It is what happens when a party looks at a Mamprusi son of the far north, a man from Walewale, and says, quote, "We want you as our presidential candidate to lead the party into victory 2028. My dear students, over the years, TESCON has evolved into a powerful engine of exactly this kind of empowerment. It has nurtured young minds, sharpened political thoughts, and instilled the discipline, loyalty, and vision required of national leaders. And like I said, generation after generation, the new generation is prepared to take over the mantle of leadership. Many TESCON alumni are now in parliament, in the private sector, and in civil society, and their records are a proof that TESCON is not merely about student politics. It is about preparing the next generation of patriotic leaders. And if you want a single name, a single career that demonstrates what TESCON empowerment can produce when a young person commits fully to the cause, let me give you one. The man, Asensu Boakye, his story should be a story that must inspire you. Francis Asensu Boakye courageously took up the mantle as the first president of TESCON, providing leadership, structure, and direction to the emerging movement when it was still finding its feet. And by the way, for the record, TESCON was launched first in Ghana at KNUST by our then candidate J. Kufuor. Today, that same young man, through years of sacrifice, dedication, and service, has risen to become a proud second-termer of Parliament representing the good people of Bantama. He served as a Deputy Chief of Staff during the first term of President Akufo-Addo and went on to hold critical ministerial roles, serving as Minister for Works and Housing and later as Minister for Roads and Highways. So, my dear TESCON members, the first president of this organization has today serving his second term, former Deputy Chief of Staff, a former Cabinet Minister. Do not tell anyone that TESCON is a student hobby. It is a leadership incubator, and more evidence are in Parliament. And this brings me to the most powerful case for what youth empowerment and inclusiveness look like when they are genuine. There is a tired falsehood our opponent loves to repeat, that the new patriotic party is a party of one tribe, of one region, and one narrow circle of privilege. I stand before you as the first answer to that charge. But the fuller answer is the tradition from which this party was built. This party, ladies and gentlemen, traces its philosophical roots to the union of three great men: Joseph Boachi Dankwa of the South, Kofi Abrifo-Busia of the Middle Belt, and Simon Diodon Dombo of the Upper West. From its founding, this party was built by leaders who crossed every line that divided their contemporaries, because they understood that empowering a nation requires empowering all of it, not just comfortable parts. Dr. Mahama Bawumia is a Mamprisi son of Wale Wale. In 2008, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo chose him as his running mate, empowering a Northerner and a Muslim for the highest ticket in the land when this country had never seen anything like it. Dr. Bawumia gave up the comfort of a distinguished central banking career to answer the call. We lost narrowly in 2008, and in 2012, we presented him again and lost again. But when the party challenged that result before the Supreme Court, in the first presidential election petition in our nation's history, it was Dr. Bawumia who stood alone in the witness box, cross-examined for days on national television, and never flinched. In 2016, we won. In 2020, we won again. For 8 years, he served as a vice president, building the nation through digital transformation. In 2023, this party chose him as flag bearer, the first Northerner and a Muslim ever to lead the new patriotic party into a general election. We lost in December 2024. In January of this year, the party went back to its delegates and asked them whether Dr. Bawumia should lead us again for 2028 election. And my dear TESCON members, a party that empowers again a man who has been tested 5 times in victory and in defeat, in a witness box and on campaign platform, and chooses him not out of sentiment but out of proven merit, is a party that understands what investing in young people for the long haul truly means. That is inclusiveness in practice. That is diversity with substance. That is empowerment that produces leaders. And I further submit that empowerment does not carry one face alone. When this party needed a deputy minority leader, a woman, member of parliament for Asika, who rose to that responsibility, leadership, empowerment, and nation building in this tradition were every face of Ghana, and that is all we have, and all of it, we have it. And I stand here not only using the Dr. Bawumia example, but I use myself again as an example. Some of you may be students who love this party, maybe an Nzima, maybe a Gonja, maybe an Anglo-man like myself, may belong to a tribe which is little known, and somebody could come and tell you that don't join NPP because of your tribe. Tell that person that NPP is the only party that cherishes, that acknowledges diversity and inclusiveness. NPP is not a tribal party. NPP is not for the majority. NPP is not for a few. NPP belongs to all of us. When that person is pressing further, let the person know that Afenyo Markins, who is a minority leader, his father is an Anglo man. He is from Volta region. His mother is an Efutu woman from Winneba. Winneba, Efutu is a small community. And in any event, in 2024 elections, Central region only had 4 seats. Ashanti region had 39 seats. The question is, if the NPP is for the majority and is always focusing on big tribes, would Afenyo Markins be the minority leader? What does that tell you? That in NPP, it is hard work, dedication, loyalty. Your tribe, your religion would not matter. So if you are a student in this room, have hope in NPP. We as a party rely on inclusiveness and diversity for the purposes of nation building. Therefore, now we reach the 3rd pillar of our theme, the one that gives the first 2 their ultimate justification. Because leadership without nation building is just an ambition, and youth empowerment without nation building is just energy. Everything we do in politics, every sacrifice we make, every position we fill, must ultimately be pointed at one destination: a better, stronger, and a more just Ghana. Let me show you what that looks like when it is done, and what it looks like when it is not. When President Kufuor led this country from 2001 to 2009, he gave our country National Health Insurance Scheme, the first serious commitment that poverty alone will not decide who received medical care. He abolished the basic school fees through the capitation grant. He introduced the school feeding program and the National Youth Employment Program. He steered us through the highly indebted poor countries process, lifting a crushing debt burden from the shoulders of the next generation. Each of those decisions was a stone laid in the foundation of a nation. President Kufuor's government also took the risk and invested in the discovery of oil. It was in Kufuor's era that Ghana struck oil. Ghana discovered oil, and NDC did not even believe that the story was true. Back in the day, their women organizers sat on Peace FM and described it as Agyapong. But today, the oil revenue we get from the discovery of oil is now part of the pool of revenue that has added to national development, all to the hard work of NPP. Kufuor invested heavily in agriculture, supported cocoa farmers, introduced the mass spraying, gave our cocoa farmers inputs, and for the first time in the history of our country, cocoa harvests, cocoa production hit the 1 million mark. No government ever invested in cocoa production to reach that level of production. It was only under NPP that we got 1 million tons of cocoa production, and that was under President Kufuor. Then Akufo-Addo took over. Even before then, when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo spoke about free education, the NDC poo-pooed him. They said all manner of things about him. They ridiculed him. In fact, on the 6th March, they will be marching Free education 419. Free education 419. That is what the NDC did. The NDC never believed that Ghana could ever have free SHS. Like they did to Kufuor. When Kufuor was introducing the free medical care program, they said even America, the United States of America, healthcare was not free. So Ghana could not achieve that. That's what they did to Kufuor, but Kufuor did it. So Akufo-Addo introduced the free SHS program, made sure that TVET was also free, and for the private sector, Akufo-Addo introduced a one district, one factory to create an opportunity for the private sector. This is nation building, and this is leadership. And by the way, I want to ask a question. We often hear Kufuor bus. Have you ever heard Ataman's bus? Have you heard Mahama bus? Have you heard Rollins bus? Which bus do you hear? Because it was Kufuor's time. It was Kufuor who activated the public transport system and imported these long buses into our country that connected to the villages. And that is how come, long after he has left, we the people of Ghana still recognize him as the man of action who introduced this mass transport system. We call it Kufuor bus. Ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students, the point I am making here is that although our party, our tradition is a center right in its ideology, we believe in free enterprise, we believe in private sector, but underneath it, at the heart of our principles, is the fact that we introduce social intervention programs to help the poor, to create social equilibrium, and to create a balance so that the poor would be lifted through these social intervention programs. The NDC, they believe that society must be helped. But your friends who are TAIN members, your friends who are NDC members, when you leave this hall and you meet them on campus and you are debating with them, ask them one question, that they should tell us a single social intervention program that NDC sustained, introduced and sustained. There's none. They are confirmed that they brought. They all flew to where? Burkina Faso. So the NDC has no single social intervention program that it introduced and implemented successfully that any Ghanaian can point to it and say this was a handiwork of NDC. They have none. But we, the NPP, since 1992, the two opportunities that we had to govern this country, we can cite several examples. The national identification card, the health insurance, the school feeding, the free maternal care, the cocoa mass spraying, the free compulsory basic education, the free SHS, the STEM program, the TVET program, the one district, one factory, the golden age of business initiative. We can go on and on and on. So it tells you the difference between NPP and NDC. It is like day and night. We can cite all these as examples of governance, building our nation, putting in place the infrastructure. They have none. They cannot even cite one. And that is what I want you in this room to challenge them when you meet them for debates on politics. Debate them. They are full of certain rhetorics and they only talk. They can talk more and do less. They promised that they were going to do one job, 3 shifts. They said 24-hour economy. If you ask them what that means, they don't even have a uniform explanation as to what 24-hour economy means. They said they were going to set up banks in all regional capitals, in all district capitals, to support our women to do their trading. 1 year, 6 months. 419 is a scam. They promised cocoa farmers that they would increase the farm gate price to 6,000 Ghana cedis. Today, when they came into office, they have rather reduced the price of cocoa. NPP aban baya akufuado edienim cocoa ekuafo sebe embre tumbre yeto omkoko bag no ebo NDC say ni akufuado aye bia no enye akufuado edi cocoa price no per bag edi ko 3,100 NDC for ye campaign omo say e wo form so omo na omo wa aban mu a nka omo de be cost 6,000 and Ghana form to Abamfamo. No more for cocoa price will cost 6,000. And then Omunya a member to me. Cocoa 3,100 na kufa to the giant. Omodia got 2,500. Where you are buying papa? Almost say akufa doing to me and share galamse and end to 2 years and stop it galamse. So Omodi Omoba galamse no esubecha. And then Omo koti gold board. Omo to galamse gold. Enti enuanu mamu wa memba ne me wo fasefo a mu suade. Ewie nkomodi a mi di ni nyina no. Dia mema mati ase ne se ye ka parties mienu e wo Ghana a omo ebu oman na. Ye party NPP no. Ye dia bakosom to ho akenkan dia ayaye no wa ban mu a. Dia ayaye no esu etre change dia ye nuanom NDC for no wa ban mu no omaye. Na sabe embebebre no omo ba no omo de tribalism e de badada. The person me catch them say NPP party ko no and yes sabe we are santinia and we benya position. Wufi kuro bi mu a ene ye recognize o NPP ye Ghana party a emfa wo ne wo try emfa wo ne bebi a wufiri emfa wo ne wo soma a wo som se wo be ye adwumaden edi odo ene ankeka abaye adwuma ma party no se wotumi ye saa na emfa wo se wo godfather ana wo ni godfather eye nyankopon adawoma ne adwumaden ti na ye se oh Afenyo wo de wufi volta wo ma me fie futu nanso adwumaden ti ye the minority leader to me e hye wonsa ye papa Dr. Bawumia obi beka say oye kremoni na kremoni so de aden na say oye flag bearer ofisrem ye mfa ama no debi NPP yes anetie wo hwe from 57 time Ghana G foundie ebe pimende. This is the first time Ghana politics kremoni enya party bi franca say o to say presidential candidate. We shall Ghana history from Kwame Nkrumah, what they bus 69, Buzi Ambreso, what they call Liman Ambreso, Edeba Rollins 92, it is the first time a Muslim has been made the flag bearer of a major political party. It is NDC for no crana and never breno omuko zongo community kwaji vote no. Omun to me and ye say omun ye a Muslim, they are flag bearer. So if you are here and you are a Muslim, I want you to know that NPP has broken that barrier, that a religion is a barrier to your political rise in this country. NPP has proven, say, it doesn't matter which religion, that if you are a Muslim, you have equal opportunity to lead this party. And it is our party that has given true meaning to that equality. You should embrace NPP. Memma obiam bedada. Mema obi mbetwe mfi party no mu. Mema obi mbeka asem bi engu waso. Believe in this party and the equal opportunity it offers. I will conclude by quoting what our flag bearer said. On the 7th of February 2024, at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Dr. Bawumia stood before the nation and spoke of building in his own words, quote, "My vision is to create a tent big enough to accommodate all our people, to tap into the resourcefulness and talent of our people, irrespective of our different ethnic, political, and religious backgrounds.